I was just listening to it and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Most of the time I didn't even understand what she was talking about because she was talking in like different accents. And if they ask her, they also like gaslight her into saying what they want to hear respectively. And so toxic, both of them. Like, leave both of them and just live your own life, girl. Like, what the fuck? That's not worth it. Like, it started today in the morning. And I had class in the middle of the day. And still I'm already more than halfway through. Like, this book is good. Hi, so I'm listening to the Picture of Dorian Gray on Audible, as always. And I don't know, I'm kind of not pissed, but disappointed in a way, because I expected this to be spectacular, groundbreaking, I don't know, world-changing, something like that, like literature of the highest good. I mean, it's good literature, don't get me wrong. It's a good story so far, but I don't know, I just don't like any of the characters. I'm like, why? Because, for example, Dorian Gray himself and the people that surround him are so shallow, so snob, so... ugh, like, imagine, like, he had a breakdown because he didn't want to grow old. I mean, everyone knows the story, basically. He doesn't want to grow old, and so the picture gets old instead of him. We're not that far in the story yet, but, you know, basic knowledge about that. And, yeah, but in general, like, he had a breakdown because he realized, I don't know how old he is, but probably around 20 or something, that once he gets, like, if he gets old, he'll be ugly. And no, that's not necessarily true. Old is not immediately ugly. I mean, not for no reason. Most people say that men, especially, ripe like wine. I don't know, is that even the saying, but you know what I mean. Like, they get better over time. So why are you worried? If you have good genes, you're not gonna suffer from old age, like becoming ugly, if that's the most important thing in your life. But okay. And then in general, like his friend Henry, I mean, in the description on Storygraph it says it's like an LGBTQ story type of thing. I don't know really, because as of now, seeing it from like today's perspective, yeah, probably Henry's gay for Dorian, but I don't think that at that time it was written that it was intended to be LGBTQ, or at least not openly. Probably, maybe it was, but you know, I find Henry to be, or Harry, whatever his name is, to be a little bit shady and also a bad influence. Like, he really fuels that stupid behavior from like Dorian Gray. He always talks shit about other people. He's always there like being shady, and like the stereotypical shady gay man that is maybe jealous of Dorian Gray's like other relationships or whatever, and it just tries to sabotage them. And I'm like, bitch, mind your own damn business or make your move. So just pick one. And yeah, so I don't like any of them. And like all that talk about like beauty being the most important thing in life and anything else, like everyone who doesn't just look at everyone else's like appearance is the shallow one. Like, what kind of argumentation is that? Because like, he had a mental breakdown once someone told him, yeah, but once you get old, your beauty will fade away, and what will you have left? And then he noticed, Dorian Gray, oh my god, I won't have anything left. I'm basically an empty shell. Everything I have is my beauty and my youth. And then he had a mental breakdown for that. So, can you not see how flawed that logic is? That everything that matters is outside, is like the vessel? Sir? What the fuck? And then he, oh my god, I don't want to spoil it, but you know, it's been out so long, it's a classic, I mean, at this point. But he wants to marry a girl. I think that's probably just show, because probably he's either bi or gay, but he wants to marry this girl just because she's beautiful and like an actress. And like, I mean, things those days, like back in the day, were easier to get married. You just saw someone, talked to them like 2 times or 3 times, and then you were engaged. that was basically the most important achievement in someone's life, especially for young people. But yeah, it's kind of unrealistic, you know? She doesn't even know his name, I guess. And she's also down with it. I mean, one thing is that he is shallow and stupid enough to be like, yeah, I want to marry this woman because she's like 17. That's what we heard. And she's beautiful and she's interesting because she's an actress. But she doesn't have to be fine with this. She's like, yeah, I love him. Bitch, you don't love him. You don't know him. He's just pretty. She literally calls him Prince Charming. Charming where? Like, what? Oh my god, I cannot. I mean, I've heard so many nice things about this book. Like, it's people's favorite classic. It's so beautifully written. And yeah, don't get me wrong, there are some parts that are really beautifully written and that have some interesting ideas, but not in the way that you would think. The interesting parts that I find is like a psychoanalysis of these people, like psychoanalyzing the things they say and why do you think like that? Like, who raised you? Why are you like this? You know, that's what interests me. When they talk shit, I'm like, why are you like this? What trauma made you like this? You know? Oh my god. Or the other things, like talking about beauty and aesthetics. I'm like, okay, why do people give aesthetics, or in general beauty, because aesthetics can be both ways, so much importance, so much credit? And there are a lot of like psychological studies, but also like sociological, that talk about like the halo effect and so on. But you know, in that perspective, I find it interesting to psychoanalyze these stupid ass, snob ass people. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just so disappointed because I really thought that this was going to be the most poetic, most beautiful, I don't know, groundbreaking classic that I read, and I would buy it instantly, like I did with Frankenstein and Dracula. But no! No, I'm just pissed at these people. It's worse than The Great Gatsby. I mean, The Great Gatsby was boring as fuck. That was its problem for me. And it was pretentious. I didn't like reading or listening about like rich people problems and their snobbish behavior. Stop everything you're doing. Oh my god. Literally maybe like 2 or 3 minutes have passed since I last filmed like the last update. Yeah, I continued listening, and I was on a scene where he went with his friends to see this girl acting as Juliet in Romeo and Juliet, obviously. And she was bad for some reason. And I thought like in the instant, like, he is going to unlove her so quick after this, because all his love and devotion for her was just because he found her interesting as an actress and he found her pretty. But if she acts bad, what happens with that love? Because he's known her since like 3 weeks and talked to her like twice. And she too, like, this man, what? Don't you have standards? Don't you have like other people, I don't know, trying to court you? And yeah, now he asked her, why did you act so bad, my love? And she was like, yeah, because I'm so happy, and I know now real love and stuff like that, and you showed me what real love is, now I can't act and stuff like that. Okay. And literally, his answer to that was, you killed my love. Bitch! I knew it! He would be so over with it once she stopped like acting or did something that he didn't like. He loves her so much. That's the love of his life. Ugh! And then it's something so shallow as like, oh, you didn't act well tonight? Well, you killed my love. How can people find this to be like inspirational or beautiful and underline these lines? Like, bitch, that's crazy to me. I'm sorry, but no. I'm so done with him. He's so shallow and little in a way that's like so unattractive. I'm gonna stop filming now because my arm is hurting, and yeah, I gotta finish listening to this crap. I'm sorry, it's not crap, it's a good book. If you like it, I mean, you do you, but I'm really... What I'm enjoying about this book is to shit talk about it, you know? It's more like a hate listen, you know? Like a hate read. But okay. I'm done now. Good morning. It's pretty early, and a couple of days passed actually. I finished listening to The Picture of Dorian Gray, and I don't know, I have mixed feelings about it now because when we last talked, I said I really didn't like it. I mean, I hated Dorian Gray and that guy, Lord Henry, because of their stupid ideas, their just ideology and how they presented and the things they did and so on. But now, like towards the end of the book, Dorian Gray finally started to get what he deserved. Like karma started catching up, and that got quite interesting, to be honest, to see this change in character, or this change in, you know, the story. Not just rich and beautiful people getting away with everything, but, you know, getting slightly mad and maybe you know, getting what they deserve in a way. Some people might disagree on that stance, but that's totally fine. I mean, you can think of that book whatever you want. I mean, for some people it's the best classic or their favorite book, and I absolutely respect that. I just didn't see it in the beginning. I mean, don't get me wrong, the writing, as I said before, is beautiful. The prosa and like the Oscar Wilde's way with words is very beautiful, no question. But I don't know, I didn't like the aspect of satirical critique on the society that those days, because I feel like there are other ways. You don't have to make a character this unlikely, this outrageous in order to critique society. I mean, you can, you did. For some people it works, for some people it doesn't. But I feel like there are other ways. For example, in Frankenstein, I feel like there is also an element of critique towards society, or what people, like their moral compass, or what they deem to be good and what they deem to be bad, and like based just on looks, and what they know and what they don't know, etc. So I feel like that was also a very beautiful way to portray that problem in society. But this book, it just went over the edge of being satirical and being like annoying, you know? Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't like the reading experience or the listening experience. I was pretty much annoyed the whole time. But then when it got towards the end, I was glad that not everyone, but you know, Dorian got what he deserved. I mean, it's a pity that Lord Henry didn't get any repercussions from anything, that he just lived this outrageous existence without having any consequence from this. And yeah, it was very dramatic, but I would like certainly rate this below Frankenstein and Dracula. I'm on to reading the last book for this video, and that is Wuthering Heights. I literally just started listening to this. I'm pretty early in the story, like third chapter or something like that, and that's nothing because this story has like 35 chapters. So nothing really has happened so far. In the beginning, like first 2 chapters, I didn't really understand what was going on, like who are these people and what are we talking about, but I know we will get there eventually. And so far now, we're at a place where there's some magical element going on here, or at least some occult mysticism type of element going on. I'm so far enjoying it. I don't know. It's okay. It's not bad. I'm really curious where this goes because I have never, like, I've not heard anything about this book like before. I don't know what it's about exactly. I just knew it existed. And so, yeah, I'm super excited. So I'll update you obviously later on if something happens or whatever. And yeah, bye! Hey, hello. It's actually been a while since I finished the last book. I was sick for like a week and I'm still not fully recovered, but I figured I have to finish up this video. I have to wrap this up because I finished actually listening to Wuthering Heights. like a week ago or more. I have mixed feelings with Wuthering Heights. I kind of liked it, but I also didn't. I was like, yeah, this is okay. It's not like groundbreaking for me. It's not my favorite book of the year. It's not memorable for me. I was, to be honest, really confused for most part. Like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on, to be honest. Like, who is who and why are we like having this whole conversation, this whole problem with everyone? For example, why this guy Heathcliff was so hated by everyone in the beginning. And then, okay, everything made sense. He was abusive as fuck, and so, yeah, stay away from him. But, you know, I don't know. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite, like, in general, but it also wasn't as bad. I didn't feel like really as I was being tortured like I was with like The Great Gatsby or The Picture of Dorian Gray. That was something. Even though I must admit the storyline in The Picture of Dorian Gray was more easy to follow in a way, was more accessible for me. Maybe that's because I was just at the end of listening to 5 classics. I was just done with it. I was just, you know, not in the right mindset to enjoy this book. But I feel like it was a decent book. It wasn't groundbreaking for me, but it wasn't also like terrible. Even though at the time apparently it was really groundbreaking because of the crude themes that it dealt with and the way it was written and everything. So I don't know. It certainly deserves some props in that, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. No, that's an overstatement. I didn't really enjoy it. I was like, yeah, it was fine. If it was longer than this, than it actually was, I feel like it was like 18 hours or something. Between 12 and 18 hours, I would have really hated it, but it was okay. And by the end of it, I was satisfied with how it ended, and I was like, yeah, never mind, I read it, it's okay. I can say I read Wuthering Heights, but I certainly will not buy a copy of it. Maybe I will listen to it again at some point, sometime in the future, but not in the near future. You know, I've got really a lot of other things to read and to look forward to, and that is not one of it. So, sorry for that. I don't know what else to tell you, really. It was a nice read. It was a classic, as you can imagine, a classic. It wasn't as boring as, for example, Jane Austen novels. I'm sorry for all your Jane Austen fans out there, but yeah, I really just don't vibe with the writing and everything. The way it's all so descriptive, even though this was also very descriptive, but not like exaggerating it. And I was also not really hating the characters as much as I did, for example, in The Picture of Dorian Gray. There I really hated everyone. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, but it was decent. It was okay. So now to the reviews. I gave The Great Gatsby 2.75 stars. It really didn't make it to the 3 stars for me. It was just, I just didn't really like it. I was so bored the whole time. Nothing really happened until like the last few chapters. Then that was followed by immediately my first 5-star read in terms of classics. The thing that really redeemed the genre classics for me. And that was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I gave that 5 stars, as I said. Really loved it, bought a copy, I was in love. And after that I read Dracula by Bram Stoker, and I also bought physical copy because I gave it 4.75 stars. I also really loved this book, to be honest, but it just didn't quite, I don't know, get to me as much as Frankenstein, to be honest. So that's why I just gave it 4.75 stars and not the whole 5 stars. But then, moving on, it got a little rough because, as I said before, I read The Picture of Dorian Gray and I didn't really enjoy it as much as I wanted to, and it was a 3.25 stars for me, like really average. I would have given it 3 stars, but I really had to admit that it had some interesting tropes around, or some interesting topics around like the darker side of human nature, or in general all that about like beauty and how we perceive ourselves in society and so on. So it was kind of interesting, but I just really didn't like the characters, and the story was also just not that interesting for me. And the writing was very beautiful, so I could appreciate that, and that's why I gave it 3.25 and not just 3 stars. And yeah, but next we have Wuthering Heights, and that I give 3 stars because I just didn't really enjoy it. I was just like, yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's a book. You know, I don't have strong feelings towards it. I won't be thinking about it day in, day out, something like that. This one is Wuthering Heights. I don't know, maybe it just wasn't in the right mindset when I started, or in general when I listened to it. But now I'm like, yeah, 3 stars, it's fine. Not every classic has to be your favorite book in the world, and you know, you just can also just enjoy the book. You don't have to love it just because it's a classic. But yeah, those were my final ratings, and I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you maybe have some opinions about the books, if you maybe read them, or I maybe inspired you to read more classics. And so I would be really glad, really thankful if you could leave a comment down below telling me which of these books you've already read and what are your opinions on them, and also if you have never read any of these books, if you're interested in reading them sometime soon. And yeah, I will see you in another video. Bye!